The deck choices are getting wild and wilder for the cool little things, or maybe the safety net that you need for this format. Make sure you smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out more. So we're actually going to be starting over here with Battle Fader. When was the last time that you actually heard somebody mention Battle Fader in this form, actually, in competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! At all, besides like some sort of degenerate stall deck? But remember, your opponent's monster declares a direct attack, you can special summon this from your hand and end the battle phase, and so in this way banish when it leaves the field. Actually, there have been two decks that I have seen playing Battle Fader right now. One was a purely deck that ended up topping a regional. So this does have a regional top underneath its belt. And we saw it out of a Jack Atlas deck that ended up doing extremely well out of its event. And, I mean, Jack Atlas, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, you know, level 1 that you could special summon. So what application are you really getting out of this? It's to ensure that decks that have super easy recovery modes, I mean, Purely would be a fantastic example of that. You know, if you somehow break their Nor and then you start swinging on it, you're probably not going to have an extremely crazy field on you. So having a Battle Fader for the follow-up after the board break means that you can follow it up on your turn, kind of as a recovery play, which is actually kind of crazy to kind of consider that. And I remember when I did see the list, it did play 2 Battle Faders. So interesting, right? I don't think there's anything else in this current format that we would see Battle Fader being played in. I think that this is just kind of one of those tech choices that a few people have kind of started testing it out, and a little bit more of the oddity has kind of started to show itself. But you know how mad you would be if you get Battle Fadered in the current era? Like, you just look at your opponent and you go, who plays that garbage? Well, you just got Battle Fadered. Good game, Duelist. Next up is Mistaken Arrest over here. And this is a pretty common one across the board because we've been seeing this in a lot of the Unchained side decks. But until the end of your next turn, after this card resolves, all right, neither player can add cards from their deck to the hand except by drawing them. That's right. That's it until the end of your next turn. So that means that if I activate it on my turn, so turn 0, I activate this Mistaken Arrest. Okay, so for the rest of my turn, we can't do anything. But it says till the end of the next turn. So we go through the entire opponent's turn. They can't do anything. We go back into my next turn. I technically can't do anything. Well, the thing with modern era Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not every deck needs to search right now. Well, I mean, usually in some sort of capacity. It usually helps. You know, Pot of Prosperity is a fantastic card. I mean, but, you know, shutting your opponent off from, you know, getting a filter of 6 cards from the deck, you know, forcing them to play draw cards, you know, I think I'm going to take that, honestly. That ensures that I don't have to deal with, like, the random RNG kind of comes with it. And, you know, Flaunderies players are in shambles looking at Mistaken Arrest. They're like, what do you mean? You know, I can't play the game through multiple turns. And that's the whole biggest thing that you'd be looking at right now with this is, you know, the cutoff for the value to get with that. So a huge side deck card for this current meta. And I mean, the more decks, even if you're playing something that can search, remember, it's until the end of your next turn. So you can do your full combo line, proceed to do whatever that you need to against your opponent, and then just slam it down at the end, and you've locked your opponent for effectively 2 turns, and especially since, you know, how many of these decks in the current era want to be able to play the game during the opponent's turn. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I got to give them a little bit of credit for, you know, the good ideas of this. Next up is Dimensional Fissure / Macrocosmo. Biggest thing is Macrocosmo's hardly seeing any play whatsoever. Like, it's mainly been Kashtira variants that have been exploring Dimensional Fissure. Not even Flaunderies wants to look at Dimensional Fissure right now and do its thing. So the biggest thing I want to mention here is, yes, Kashtira has been lurking in the back of the metagame corner over there, kind of doing its thing. And because Kashtira has been kind of turning a few heads in the rogue category, I mean, you are genuinely in the tier 2 category with Kashtira. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You are not getting really any sort of good build with that. I mean, you are relying on Fenrir and Unicorn to be your carries. But I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, Fenrir and Unicorn are two of the stupidest cards that we still have legal. It's just Unicorn's not really seeing play right now, unless you're a Kashtira player or a Speedroid player, but that's a story for another day. Also, Birth is still incredibly stupid. So the deck has needed to find new ways kind of getting things going, and that's where, you're seeing Dimensional Fissure, of course, Dimension Shifter as well. So Fissure being one of those cards right now. I've seen two builds. One played 1 in the side, and another build played 3 in the main. But I think the biggest thing you've got to consider is, are you going to go for more of the controlled build for Kashtira, or are you going to go for still more of the aggressive, heavy combo build? I think that's probably the biggest argument for how many copies of Dimensional Fissure you actually do want to mess around with. And either way, some sort of version of this card is going to get the job done for you. I cannot stress enough how stupid this card actually is. Walking, talking, mass removal for the opponent is always going to be a pretty big good thing. Next up is actually Lava Golem. Now, you might not have noticed this, but Lava Golem's usage in the format has actually kind of gone up as of recently. Now, remember, Lava Golem does have the punishing, devastating clause of, making sure that has to be special summoned by attributing 2, and then you can't normal summon or set the turn that it was special summoned, but I could give 2 craps less about that. 2 monsters is all Lava Golem takes. Now, there will always be times where Seer Mode will kind of spin around on into the format where there are 3 monsters kind of being problems. But right now, Mana Diem's ending on, so like example, if you're going to locals, Mana Diem's ending on 2 to 3 boss monsters. Technically, if you Lava Golem them, you should be able to kind of clean up their board. Unchained's probably leaving 1 to 2 up, probably 2, depending on where they're going, because they'll have the DDD link plus that, so you can pretty easily Lava Golem that. Labyrinth, we'll only probably have 1, maybe 2. It depends on how your opponent is opening, but Lava Golem's value right now is so much crazier than people, I think, really want to give it credit for. And he's kind of turning on into probably the bigger board breaker than I think people really kind of expect. But Robbie, it takes away your normal summon. Who cares? All right, half of the meta right now is just gas, special summon, and it doesn't matter. Like, so many decks, the normal summon is like crucial for the starter, but it doesn't really feel like it matters. Ooh, one devastating downside. But yeah, Lava Golem has been gaining a lot more play, especially in main decks right now. Once again, hey Unchained, I see you over there trying out some kind of cute things in the meta, but Kashtira has also been doing this. The last thing I want to mention here is Altar for Tribute. Now, for those of you that don't know, this is going to be a Labyrinth innovation, and it's strictly because of those terrible time rules. But tribute, or select 1 monster on your side of the field and send it to the graveyard. Man, I love this old wording. Increase your life points by the amount equal to the original attack of that monster. Yeah, so basically what you're going to be doing is you're basically going to use the Labyrinth to set your normal trap. Tee guess what we're setting? Altar for Tribute. You gotta love the old slow time grind games out here, and then you're gonna tribute something on your side of the field while time is being called because it's end of phase. Suddenly, you just got, 2,000, 2,500 life points? Now your opponent's in shambles. This is actually pretty good because, if you got skill drain face up and it is end of phase, you'll be able to recover a decent amount more of life because, you did pay for that skill drain. So technically, you'd probably go down to 7,000 depending. This will put you up to about 9.95, and you'll be looking at your opponent going, yeah, what's up? Most of the decks, if anything, if they're going to play anything to burn, it's usually, like 500 Scattershot, whatever Red Resonator does. It's really about it for time modifier cards. So, yeah, Labyrinth getting the chance to get some stupid side deck cards that they probably shouldn't have access to, but, that's the world we live in right now for the game of Yu-Gi. So what do you guys think about these very interesting choices? Please, leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and of course, I look forward to seeing what else the format's going to throw at us.
patrons. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.